Weingard, absolute pleasure having you on the programme. We now stay in the Indo-Pacific and move to North Korea, which has experienced an internet outage, disrupting access to government websites, official news services and email systems. The cause remains unclear. However, experts monitoring the situation suggest the disruption was likely internal rather than the result of a cyber attack, as connections through China and Russia were also affected. The outage severed the isolated nation from the global internet for several hours before some services began gradually restoring. North Korea tightly controls internet access, with only a select few government officials permitted full access, while the general population uses a restricted internet service. In the past years, the country has faced similar outages, some suspected to be cyber attacks, amid ongoing concerns about North Korea's elite hacking groups. We move on. Japan is seeking to make progress in tariff negotiations with the United States ahead of a potential meeting between the two countries' leaders at the upcoming G7 summit in Canada. Speaking on Friday in Washington, D.C., Japan's lead trade negotiator, Akazawa, talked about the timing of the summit. Let's take a listen in.
の関税の協議がですね、どういうところまで進展しているのか、そういったことを踏まえてですね、両首脳にそれを挙げた上で会っていただくことになりますので、そういう意味でサミットのタイミングというものは交渉をやっている我々の念頭にはあるということを申し上げておきます。
This latest round of talks could be the final in-person discussion before US President Donald Trump and Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba are expected to meet at the summit. Japan is under pressure to reach an agreement as a 24% tariff on certain goods is set to take effect in June if no deal is struck. Negotiators are hopeful that progress made in these discussions will pave the way for a resolution before the tariffs come into force. We stay in the region. South Korean President Lee Jae-myung will attend the upcoming G7 summit in Canada later this month, following an official invitation the presidential office confirmed on Saturday. The summit, scheduled from June the 15th to the 17th in Alberta, will mark President Lee's first appearance on the multilateral diplomatic stage. Although South Korea is not a G7 member, it has been invited to the expanded sessions in recent years. On the sidelines of the summit, President Lee may hold bilateral talks with US President Donald Trump and Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba, with the possibility of a trilateral meeting among the three leaders. President Lee recently spoke by phone with President Trump, during which they reaffirmed the strength of the Seoul-Washington alliance and agreed to expedite negotiations on US tariffs affecting South Korean exports. The South Korean government is also coordinating with China and Japan to arrange further high-level discussions ahead of the summit. Tensions